Hello. Welcome back to the Elyse DeLucci Show, episode 88. We are here as we are every week in my living room in Manhattan. How you doing? Full swing of the new year. Oh my God, it's January. It's only January. I'm already exhausted. Do you not feel the exact same way? I mean, yes, everybody's saying we didn't get over 2021, 2020, barely 2019, and we're already in 2022. But I'm exhausted. Every time I leave my house, phone, wallet, bag, mask, Vax card, sanitizer. Do I have the booster shot Vax card because I lost the first? Don't ask, long story. And it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go take a nap. Who needs to go out? Who needs it? It's like, do you go out? Do you not go out? Do you go out and, do you go out for your mental health and try to socialize and sit in restaurants or see friends? Or do you just stay in like a recluse and be, air quotes, safe, but mentally sorry? You know what I'm saying? Fact of the day, 7% of Americans think that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. I don't know why I think that's funny. I just do. Someone was asking me about dairy cows the other day. What the hell do I know about dairy cows? The only thing I know about dairy cows is my ex-husband's grandparents owned a dairy farm in England. And I know enough that cows come in lots of colors. They could be tan and brown and golden brown, and they could be red or this black and white. But brown cows don't make chocolate milk. Chocolate in the milk makes the chocolate milk. I also do know, though, that depending on the type of cow, the breed of cow, some breeds produce milk richer in fat. Some produce, more protein in the fat, in the milk fat. But anyway, enough of that. In the UK, if somebody calls you a cow, it's an insult, right? You do know that. I used to have a beauty blog, complete tangent, wasn't planning on mentioning this, but used to have a beauty blog back in 2000 and, I think I started in 2007, 2008. I had a good run. It went up until 2012, and it was called Glamour Cow. It was called Glamour Cow, and it was a New York on beauty. That was the tagline. And hey, listen, it was very successful. This was before beauty blogs were around. At the time, I had built a website on a CMS, a content management system called Movable Type. I then wound up migrating it to WordPress when Movable Type kind of became defunct. And it was popular. I had a lot of New York readers. I had 11 writers, and all the beauty brands sent all kinds of stuff. Every day I would wake up in my third floor walk-up apartment, and there would be tons of bags, swag bags from Ferragamo, Aveeno, Vaseline, literally all these brands. It was amazing. I couldn't even keep up. And I was so young. I was in my 20s, and I couldn't afford to pay the writers, so I paid them in beauty products. I would send them a little basket of beauty products each week, and they would, have them, use them, wear them, or not, but they had to write about them. They had to write and sort of review them. And all the beauty write-ups were written sort of with this very New York attitude. It was very cute. And this was, and at the time, there was a website that Refinery 29 had just come out, and it was a real kind of crappy website at the time. And then it got and then eventually got an injection of cash and became big with a real ad model. But here's the reason why I stopped the beauty blog. People say to me, "You have this big successful blog. Why'd you stop it?" The reason why I stopped the blog is because I was working at the time. I was going from job to job, going up the corporate ladder. And at the time, I found myself at Time Out, Time Out New York, Time Out LA, all the cities. And I needed a cup of coffee. Anyway, at the time, I was the digital director of North America. That was my job. And I was overseeing all of their websites, Time Out's websites. And we had the print magazines. But my responsibility was, how do we get those magazines online? How do we build websites? How do we monetize them? I built the first Google Stack. I know that doesn't even make any sense to half of everybody that's listening. But I built a Google remnant ad model on the back end of these websites. I am nerdy. Full disclosure, accent looks very deceiving. Anyway, so I had a boss at the time, and she was a nice lady. She was a very nice lady, but she was not happy that I had this beauty website. She knew I had it. some of the brands found me at work, and they were starting to send me packages at work, and I think she got wind of it, and she basically called me in her office and said that it was a conflict of interest because Time Out New York and their other magazines, Chicago, we covered fashion and beauty and events in New York, and she did not want anyone working for any kind of competitor or building any kind of competitor. So I stopped my website because I was upset. I didn't know what to do. I felt threatened. I needed a job. I didn't have parents supporting me, paying my rent. And it was the dumbest fucking thing I ever did because you know what? First of all, let me tell you something. Okay, and again, I wasn't planning on talking about this but I know I have a lot of young listeners out there or girls that are trying to start and guys trying to start businesses. And let me tell you something. This lady, she was about, at the time, she was maybe like in her 40s, early, maybe 40, 41. And she was an executive in publishing. She was the publisher of the U.S. for Time Out. She was a successful lady. She had a great big office. She dressed great. I really looked up to her. But she probably had ideas for a business too throughout her 20s and 30s. And whether she started them or didn't start them or just let them pass through her head, she should have embraced my entrepreneurial spirit. She should have embraced my entrepreneurial spirit, and she should have encouraged me to do the website, and she should have understood that a lot of businesses that people start don't wind up working out in the long run, and that people need passion projects. And she didn't do that. She did not do that. She basically felt threatened. She felt insecure for whatever reason, maybe because she knew it would have been a success. Who knows? But she didn't like it, and out of sheer intimidation and the need for a salary, I stopped. And at the time, you know, I have two younger sisters, and one of my youngest sister is about 14 years younger than me, much younger. And my mom, you know, my parents were divorced. My mother was busy with the kids. My mom, you know, working, a gastroenterologist, just busy. Nobody was paying attention to me calling them up and saying, Mom, I have this beauty blog, and my boss is telling me that I should shut it down. My mother would have been like, so shut it down. You need a job. That was like the mentality, right? So I wound up doing it, and it was a big lesson learned, and that was don't let anybody scare you or take away things that you've built. And let me tell you something else about that job. There was a guy, he worked for me. I was his manager. His name was Larry. I don't know where Larry is today, but Larry had also a website. And it was a food website. And I don't know if I've ever told you the story before, but he had a food website, and he would go, it was called like the NYC Food Guy or something. And again, this is when blogs were not a thing. Blogs were not a thing. It was like just some nerds figuring out how to build websites. And he went around to restaurants and interviewed restaurants and reviewed them. And he had a big following on his website. I mean, I don't know, maybe he had 50, 100,000 readers. He really had a lot. And she did the same thing. She called me into her office, though, about him, and told me I should tell him to shut it down. And you know what I did? I told him, don't you dare. You keep it. And I said, you know what? You probably should find a new job while you're at it. Not because I don't love you. I did. I actually really liked him. Not because I don't want you working here. I said, you should work somewhere where people are going to embrace all of this stuff. Because somebody will. Some job will. They'll realize you're a diamond in the rough, or you're just a diamond. You're on the come up, and they're going to encourage you. And I want to encourage you, but I'm working for this lady, this wench, who's horrible. And Larry went on, and eventually Larry was a producer at The Chew, the website, the TV show on, I think that was on ABC or NBC. I don't know where he is now, but I should look him up because I think about Larry from time to time. Anywho, work story over. Bob Saget died. So sad. Betty White, Sidney Poitier. Speaking of the publishing industry, I don't know if you saw the cover of People Magazine. People Magazine had their artwork and creative all set up for her Betty White's 100th birthday, and it must have already went to print, and then she passed away, and they ran it anyway. I was surprised that they ran it anyway. Like, was it already in the mailboxes of your subscribers' homes? Was it already on the newsstand, People Magazine, that you thought that you should sell a magazine cover that had Betty White turns 100? Yay, she's amazing, the longest lady in showbiz ever. And then she died. Was it already on the stands when you decided to sell it? Because if it was still impressed, what you could have done is you could have printed a rap, right? They could have printed a rap that said, oops, we fucked up. Betty White passes away at 99. Still the most fabulous movie star ever. They could have really made like a funny blooper out of it. But what they did was they ignored it, and it went to press or it was already on the newsstands. But I think that People magazine, considering that they're an entertainment gossip magazine, they could have been funny about it. And the conversation that I had with a friend of mine about the People magazine, and I'll tell you now, is again old guard sort of management, because I don't know who's running People magazine. I should know. I should know, because again, I was in that industry for a long time. But it's probably some old white guy that's 75 years old in a corner office, no offense to you if you're listening, that's saying, it went to print, and what are we going to do? We're just going to turn our eyes and we're going to ignore it. We'll run a story about how fabulous Betty White was, and she was the best of our time. But if it was somebody that was 35, 40, 45 in that corner office, somebody that was a little more hip, they would say, oh, God, we fucked up. Let's find something funny and make some sort of a blooper thing about it, and then honor the shit out of Betty White. Make the whole next issue all about Betty White. Let's put out a Betty White book. But no, you know what? This is the problem. This is the problem with these managers. But Bob Saget, so I don't know if you listened a few episodes back, maybe, 20, 30 episodes back. My friend Mike Young was on. I interviewed him. He was my one and only guest to date, and I will have more guests. But Mike Young was Bob Saget's opener. They were on the road together. They were on tour together for a few years. They were really good friends. Mike Young is a hilarious comic. He's from Detroit. He moved out to L.A., and then he just moved back to Detroit because he wanted to get engaged to his girlfriend. Very nice. His pandemic girlfriend, who's very sweet. But anyway, they just started getting back on the road together, and just totally, totally tragic. We didn't find out from Mike that Bob had passed away. We found out from someone else, and they had said that there was a rumor that he was found dead in the hotel room in Florida, and we were both like, no way, that can't be true. That can't be true, because, we're just sitting on the couch watching TV. No way can that be true. He's only 65, so young. And then I went on Bob's Instagram, and, it was, nothing, no one was saying anything. And then there was his last post said, oh, I was on stage and I did 2 hours last night. I had the time of my life. I didn't even know 2 hours went by. Where did the time go? And then there was 18 comments, and one comment just had popped up when I was looking at it. And it said, rest in peace, Bob. And then one of the people that liked that rest in peace post, it was only one person, I knew that if this person liked that post, then it was true that he had passed away, and that's how we kind of found out. And then like an hour later, we got the official confirmation. And just sad, America's dad, Bob Saget. I'm sure you read everything you could possibly read about it if it interests you. But to me, I grew up Friday night. I don't know what time, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, whatever it was, when I was a little girl, would watch Full House. So excited when Full House came on. He was a dirty comic, though. For such a squeaky clean dad, he was a filthy comic. Everything was shit, fuck, pussy. I know, it's disgusting. I'm cringing as I'm saying these words. I know, sorry, Mom, if you're hearing this. But yes, I do know those words. But the thing that is remarkable about Bob Saget is that, one, I actually haven't met him. He was going to come on this podcast. Shame, shame, shame. That would have been so fun. But it really made my childhood go full circle, But he, apparently he was such a generous guy. And I know from my friend Mike Young, when the pandemic was happening, Mike and I were on the phone every single night, especially in the beginning. At the time, I didn't have a boyfriend. He did not have a girlfriend, and the world was crazy. And we were just two comedians that were both funny people on FaceTime talking to each other. And every night we were on the phone. That was just what we did. We spent months on the phone. He was helping me with some jokes. We would just laugh and talk. And he was telling me his time about Bob on the road. And Bob paid him a nice amount of money. When a lot of comics, headliners, don't pay their openers so great. You would be surprised. And I would never name any names. I could never. That's career suicide. But if you're an absolute A-list comedian, you've had your own television shows or whatever, you can most certainly, you're making a ton of money on your shows when you go on tour as a comedian. And you can most certainly afford to pay your openers and features on the show. And Bob did that. He was so generous with Mike, paid him great, took care of everything he wanted. Mike became part of his family from the stories that Mike told me. But there are these comedians that are very successful and they can afford to pay and da-da-da, and they don't pay their openers and their features. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame because the people, because they were once at the earlier stages in their career too. And how could you do that, not pay somebody fairly? But Bob did not do that. He was a class act. From everything I heard, I'm not going to pretend I knew him. From everything I heard about from Mike and from friends and friends of friends, he was amazing. But the most amazing thing about him, in my opinion, is that he went from America's Dad, super, super, super squeaky clean, a family show, and then at night when he was a comic, he was absolutely filthy dirty. And not only is that risky on his part, it shows that he has such a range, and it shows that he can appeal to such different audiences. Personally, I don't love that super dirty humor. It's just not my thing, but he was very, very talented. So rest in peace, Bob Saget. And somebody had said, which I thought was just hilarious, they said, yes, it's sad he died, but at least he'll be in heaven with Elvis, and he'll get to tell Elvis how much Uncle Jesse loved him. Isn't that so cute? It's just so cute. Anyway, I am really going off the tracks here with my New Year's diet. I said to a friend, I think it's called a diet because every time I'm doing it, part of me is dying. You know why I'm dying? I'm dying because I just got a bread maker. Oh, I don't know if you know about the bread maker. I don't know. You got to get a bread maker. Here's the deal. Many moons ago, when I first visited my ex-in-laws in their hometown of Wales in the UK, we went, and they have a beautiful home there. And my mother-in-law at the time, or I was just engaged, so my, at the time, fiance's mother, had like a little laundry room / shed area in her house. And she had her laundry there and, gardening stuff. And on the counter was this silver box that looked like it came from Mars. And I said, what was it? And it was a bread maker. And every night she would bake fresh bread in the bread machine and serve it on the table in the morning, with butter and jams. And it was just like so nice. I didn't come from a family where the mother was putting fresh bread on the table in the morning. My mother was like throwing a peaches and cream oatmeal packet at our heads and was like, here, eat it. Microwave it. It's good. Maybe on the weekends when I was a kid, my father would go and get jelly donuts and bagels and on a Sunday, and we really were like living our best life. Maybe we got orange juice too. That was the best. But every day for breakfast, she would have toast out, and it was so nice. And then sometimes she would make another bread for dinner. I was just completely flabbergasted by this device. And so when I got married, I got one, and I went on a tear of making breads. And it's just the easiest thing to use. It's the one I used to have was a Cuisinart. It was bigger, Cuisinart bread maker. You could go on Amazon and find it. But I recently rebought a compact one, and it's about $100. And basically, it's just the easiest thing. It comes with a little recipe booklet. All the recipes in the booklet are good, but there is a bread machine cookbook on Amazon for like $5 or $6 you could buy. Of course, I bought that too, and because I have so many cookbooks, my freaking bookshelf is bending in half. But anyway, all you do is you put in the ingredients. You have to follow the steps. Like you put the water, you put the sugar, you put the flour. You got to get bread machine yeast or active or fast rising yeast, whatever it is. I got the bread machine yeast to stay safe. And you push some buttons on the machine. 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever type of bread you're making. It dings. It's done. It's amazing. It is absolutely incredible. So far, I've made, and by the way, the bread, I made an Italian bread, But the bread is not a long, skinny Italian bread. The bread, it comes out in like a square cube. So you have to like that kind of thing. Like not be scared that a square cube of bread is coming out of a silver box. But I think it's great. So far, I made Italian bread, golden raisin, and fennel bread. I made a semolina bread with orange and cranberries. I made a basic white bread. And a couple days ago, I made challah bread, which required an egg and some sugar. Everything's absolutely delicious. You got to get one. I mean, and by the way, it also makes a great gift for if anybody likes to do anything in the kitchen, or if you have a friend that likes just doing crafts and stuff. This is like the best thing. And my daughters love it, which is even better. So, what else can I tell you? What else? Ooh, girls are back from the UK. They had a great time there. I wish they had cousins here in the U.S. I didn't realize when I was getting married that I was going to have such an international family. It's kind of sad, though, because after the divorce, my ex-mother-in-law, she never called me. She never emailed me, never texted me, never spoke to me again. Neither did my ex-sister-in-law, who's Japanese, but that's okay. She didn't speak English when I first met her. Not that that matters, but she wasn't very social, and it's not like she was like a English-speaking, Japanese girl when she was in Japan, and she would know maybe to call me up and say, oh, my God, she didn't speak. Nobody spoke to me. Nobody in that family spoke to me. So while I have family in the UK, and I still do consider them family, they do not speak to me. They have not spoken to me. So it is sad. But my girls went. They had a great time. They came back from the UK, and, they were jet lagged. So these kids, they've been waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning demanding cucumber sandwiches and bowls of porridge. I'm like, go back to bed. Goldilocks eats porridge. Go back to sleep. I've been so tired. You have no idea. Divorce is hard, though. I mean, it's just a hard thing. Like, there was actually an article in the New York Times. I have it in front of me. I'm halfway through it. It was in the Sunday, January 9th paper. The title of the article is Divorce Doesn't Have to Be Lonely. And the whole article to the part that I got up until. The article to where I'm reading to is just about how there's such a stigma around divorce that you get divorced and you're sort of going to be this old lady that lives in her house or old guy that lives in the house, and you're just going to have cats and dust bunnies everywhere. And it's really not like that. And if you have a support system, your friends, your family, you'll be fine. And you can live post-divorce with or without kids. But if you don't, here's the thing. For all you girls that are married listening to this, just as well as I. If you get divorced and you don't have kids, it's sad. It's sad. But come on. You could get over that. You don't have kids. It's a clean break. So what? You got married to somebody. You got engaged. You had a big wedding. Big fucking deal. You were married for 3 years, 10 years, 20 years. You didn't have kids. You got divorced. All right, fine. You lost your friend. You don't have to talk to the person anymore, especially if you're the one that initiated the divorce. But if you get divorced and you have kids, that's it. That guy's in your life for the rest of your life, and vice versa, whether you like it or not, until one of you drops dead. So it's really fucking shitty that my mother-in-law doesn't speak to me. And so my divorce, in that regard, in regards to my ex, is lonely because I don't share any memories with them. We don't talk. It's just like they were just never in my life. But they weren't nice to me. And so fuck them. But the article is a good article. I recommend it if you have to send it to somebody. Divorce doesn't have to be lonely, in the New York Times. If you have any friends that are going through divorce, if you're thinking about getting divorced, I would send it to them or just read it yourself. In retrospect, I've said this before a bunch of times. I don't recommend it unless your husband or wife is abusive or, blowing all the money or, has a real gambling. My grandmother would always say, still says, unless he's a drunk, a druggie, a bum, he can't hold a job, he's a gambler, just make it work because nobody will love your kids like the father, and you'll never have the same connection with somebody as you would with like the father of your child. And she's right. She's right. We got divorced for a bunch of reasons, cultural differences. He just decided he didn't want to have sex one day. He would withhold sex. Can you imagine? There I am entering my sexual peak in my 30s, and then this guy just decides he's stopping having sex. That was like, what the fuck? I didn't want to live my life like that, and it was really terrible. And there I was at work trying to go get my attention from men I work with, trying to get kicks around the office. And no, I didn't cheat on him. I didn't do anything with people in the office, but I was actively excited. If I had a work husband, that's the guy in the corner office that you're flirting with throughout the day, wearing a pretty dress so he acknowledges you. And you know why I was doing that? Or I liked that kind of attention? I liked it because I wasn't getting it at home. And he was terrible like that because he was uncomfortable with his own intimacy. Then, of course, we went to marriage counseling, which I was so exhausted by the time we got there, which probably wasn't the best idea. We should have probably started earlier, that I didn't even want to partake in it. And then he would say shit like, I don't need to go to therapy. There's no problems with me. Glug, 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 13 beers later. Anyway, but he wasn't a drunk, but he drank too much, and he did, his personality did change when he had the drink. So anyway, but even with all of that, I probably shouldn't have gotten divorced. As much as I love my boyfriend now, and as much as my life is great, knock on wood, thank God, and I'm doing okay. I'm able to get by, stay in my house, raise my daughters, blah, blah. There really is nothing like, being with the person that you decided to, initially agreed to marry, have a family with, and just slugging it out. Just, it's you two, and that's it. And it's nice. And I didn't have that support. So my divorce in regards to my ex-in-laws is lonely. And with my own family, to be honest, now my family's around or whatever. But again, my own family, my mother, my grandmother, they have their own things going on. So they weren't really around when I was getting divorced either. They were there, but they weren't like, oh my God, you're getting divorced. What could we do? Let me help you try to patch it up. People were like, oh God, they're having problems. Fine, just get divorced. And that, that was that. But the article's good, and it talks about how you can still thrive, blah, blah, blah. Definitely worth the read. Seeing that it's January, I'm trying to adapt some new habits, like save more money on the topic of being a single mom. I got to really restrict my online shopping. That's the thing. I knew it was a problem when I bought a Liza Minnelli wig on Amazon. I mean, what business do I have buying a Liza Minnelli wig? And then I thought, let me just really do it up big and order a Barbara Streisand wig. I mean, what the hell am I doing? That's really, you're really in dire straits when it's 2 a.m. You can't sleep. You're on the couch in your comfortable blankets with hot rollers in your hair, scrolling through the bright glow of your iPhone on Amazon, ordering polyester wigs and dropping them in your cart. And of course the wigs came, and they were tiny. They barely fit my head because I was ordered them in a crazy state. So I returned them. But I ordered another one. Only a Barbara wig. I returned Liza. Short black hair doesn't look good. But you know what? I love Barbara Streisand. And maybe I'll start doing some Barbara skits. That's really when my mom's going to call a shrink and be like, okay, somebody needs to go get my daughter and throw her on a stretcher because, I thought it was a little strange maybe when she was getting divorced. I thought it was strange before the divorce when she started doing improv, making stories on stage out of nothing. And then I thought she was maybe mildly crazy when she started stand-up comedy. And then she started doing videos, and now she's dressing up as Barbara Streisand. My daughter's dressing up as a 75-year-old lady that lives in Malibu, California, while nobody's home in the house. I mean, I get it. On paper, sounds a little nutty. But you know what? Hey, girls gotta live. Girls gotta live. I hope this wig is better, though. The first Barbara wig that I got, it was a platinum blonde, and it was like a bob. It ended right at my chin, and it was kind of stacked in the back, and it was that really bad wig hair. It was like Barbie hair, so, you touched it, and like strands, like straw strands came out. This wig is more like an ashy blondish brown, and it looks like it has a little, a little bounce to it. Listen, the ladies in the 50s and 60s, and some today now, but the ladies back then, they really wore wigs. Like, they wore wigs that, like, just as they would wear a different pair of shoes going to a party at night. I actually like wigs. It's the human hair wigs that skeeve me out. Like this wig is a fake synthetic wig, but I've been to the wig shops, and the thing is it's like, whose hair is this on your head? Like, what kind of life did this person live before they decided to chop off their hair and donate it to what, a wig maker? Like I'm definitely wearing dead person's hair. That's what it is. You know, in the Jewish community in Borough Park, Brooklyn, my grandmother grew up in Borough Park in a Hasidic community, which, by the way, can we do a quick tangent? I did a video on TikTok and I posted it on Instagram about trying to get a decent bagel in my neighborhood, and the only place I could get a bagel was at the Jewish Museum because all the bagel stores were closed. I got quite a few messages from people saying that I'm a anti-Semite and I'm a Jew hater. And I was just like, what the fuck is a Jew hater, you psycho? First of all, I used to say that I'm not Jewish, but when I was younger, this is what I was running around saying in high school. I'm not Jewish by blood, but I would like to be Jewish by injection. I mean, I love the Jews. The Jews and the Italians are very similar. So the hell with all you people. But one woman really, really upset me. I really let it get to me. She was like, how dare you refer to us as the Jews? How dare you refer to us as people that are great in business? How dare you? You hate Jewish people. I used to be your biggest fan. I love you on TikTok, and now you lost my trust. So I said to her, okay, lady, I said, please. I didn't mean any offense to it. I really didn't. I said, and by the way, my grandmother grew up in Borough Park. She grew up with all the Hasidic Jews. All I heard my whole life was stories about Jewish people and how the Jewish people, they're great business people and we should be more like the Jewish people, and they dress sensibly and gray and dark gray and navy and black and not colors like hot pink and feathers, Elyse. You know, I respect them. But anyway, my grandma did grow up in Borough Park in Brooklyn, home of the Hasidics and Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn. And she wanted me years ago to take her to get a wig. And she said, take me to Borough Park because the ladies there are fabulous. They have money and they do the best wigs. So I said, okay. So we went down to a wig place in Borough Park. I picked her up. My grandma, she's in Bay Ridge. Drove her down. And you'll die. We get to this schlocky building. We go upstairs, third floor. My grandma's trying on wigs. And there was ladies in there, the Hasidic ladies, they have to shave their head and they wear a wig in public. And there's a taxi service for women, that to shuffle them from their home to the wig shop so they don't have to be seen in public without their nice wig on. And it's called, brace yourself, Shlomo's Express. I swear to God, there's a Lincoln Continental driving around in Borough Park, Brooklyn called Shlomo's Express. Could you die? But anyway, human hair wigs are the best ones. This barber synthetic, we'll see. I hope it's decent. But yeah, need to start the money saving, need to start that up. I went through my bills the other day and I called all of the rogue companies that are charging me $1.99 and $3.99, and I canceled my car garage, spot in Manhattan because I don't need to pay that kind of money every month to park my car that I don't have. I still don't have a car. And I'm happy because I was going to Long Island. I was going to Long Island a couple times a week to my office there, but now my company has told me that they'll get me an office in Manhattan. We have a few offices in Manhattan. Nothing big, nothing fancy, but I'm going to be there. So thank God, because you know what? Not that I don't love Long Island, I do. And not that I wouldn't want to live there. It's all very well and good, but driving and the reverse commute's not bad. From Manhattan to Long Island. But going to Long Island, it does take me like an hour from my house in traffic, sometimes longer. And this pandemic, I've gotten so much more time with my kids, having breakfast, having lunch, picking them up from school, whatever, that I don't want, making dinner. I don't want to go back to being, commuting 2.5, 3 hours a day. I'm not doing it. I'm not. But it's not really also I'm not doing it. I don't have a car, so I can't. So they're so nice, the people that I work for. My boss is just the best. And he said, don't worry, let me get you an office in the city. Things are hard. And I said, I told him I was so grateful. I really was, because the other thing is that my kids, maybe like yours, or people that my kids fell behind a bit in the pandemic. So they need some more help, tutoring and help with math or reading or whatever. And I'm the mom and their dad's the dad. And who else is going to do that except us? So I appreciate them making it a bit easier for me, getting me this office in Manhattan. So I'm happy about that. But now I really got to work on this money saving thing. So, calling Google, asking you why the hell are you charging me $1.99 a month for Google Play that I didn't sign up for isn't exactly going to move the needle, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. I need to stop getting things from Costco. I'm like, 36 rolls of toilet paper. I can handle that. I'm filming a pilot, I told you, called Wise Guys. A couple of comics during the pandemic, they wrote a mob sitcom, funny sitcom, and I play the lead female. We shot a teaser for it the other day in Jersey City. No, there's no pilot yet. There's no actual show yet. They're just pitching. They're pitching Netflix. They're pitching YouTube. I'm excited. This would be great. Bobby Finaro's in it. Bobby Finaro, and he's a big fan of mine. He played Eugene Pontecuervo in The Sopranos. He's the nicest guy. Let me tell you a story about Bobby. Bobby Finaro. Okay, I should get him on the podcast. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it. Bobby Finaro was working. He'll tell you himself, but he was working. He's from Staten Island. Beautiful man. He was working at the door at Caroline's Comedy Club a bunch of years ago. And 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Working the door, wanted to get into show business, didn't really know how, but he's at the door, whatever, working the door. And one day, who do you think walks in? James Gandolfini. James Gandolfini walks into Caroline's and says, Bobby, you're great. Do you want to be in a show? And Bobby says, of course I do, of course. And he says, I got an audition for you. Show up here, and audition, and I think you're going to get it. You're perfect for the role. And Bobby showed up at the audition, nailed it, and then landed his role on The Sopranos. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. Talk about a man of his word, James Gandolfini. And that was that. That was that for Bobby. And so he's set. He's great. He had a great role on Sopranos. He lives in Staten Island. He's a cook. He posts his cooking stuff online. You should follow him. And I'm going to have him on the podcast because he'll tell the story better. But he knows me just from, comedy and just the showbiz thing, and he's the best. He's the best. So he supported these young comics in their project and said, sure, I'll do a role. He plays like the Godfather. He sees that I'm trying to make it. I'm working so hard to make it. So he says, Elyse, I got a thing that I wrote. I would love you to be in it. So I have something going on with him. So he's a beautiful man. Beautiful man. Okay, here's the deal. Let's talk about food for a second. I got this cookbook I told you about last week. It's Naples and the Amalfi Coast. It's a great book if your family's from the southern Italy or if you like Italian food. They have this recipe in the book, and I would love to know if your family eats this, if you're Italian or if you're not. It's called a lemon salad. It's very simple. All you do is you slice the lemons and you put them in a little vinegar with, I think, maybe a little dash of sugar. Soak them, these like thinly sliced lemons, in a bowl for 8 hours, covered in saran wrap in the refrigerator. Apparently the vinegar breaks down the pith, the skin of the lemon. And when it's done, you kind of put it in a little plate or bowl or something, and you sprinkle a little parsley, maybe a little chili things on it, and you serve it. Well, I made this, and it tastes like hell. I don't know who's eating this. Sometimes, if I'm drinking a soda or something, I'll get a little piece of lemon. I'll suck on the lemon, right? But I don't know if I could eat just lemons in a salad. I thought after these lemons marinated, I thought, well, if I had a barbecue, maybe I could get a nice piece of fish, put the lemons on the fish and, kind of grill it. But I don't have a barbecue. I don't even have a terrace. So I'm curious to know if you know about this lemon salad. Apparently it's from Sorrento. And if your family eats it. And if you do eat it, maybe I'm doing it wrong. But like I said, it's lemon, white vinegar, I think a pinch of sugar in a bowl overnight, and the parsley after. I am curious to know. But then again, all those Italians down in Italy, they're slogging espresso all day long. They have strong taste buds. Maybe they do. Maybe they like a taut lemon salad. One of my friends posted on Facebook, who's buying clock bars these days? Funny comment. Somebody wrote the same people that are buying chunkies and 100 grand. I don't know why that's hilarious to me. I just think it is. You know what my favorite candy bar is? Whatchamacallit. Do you know Whatchamacallits? Came out in 1978. It's owned by, I think it's owned by Hershey. It's delicious. It's like a crispy peanut butter wafers, and it's wrapped in chocolate. There's a little caramel in it. Oh, I love whatchamacallits. The packaging's wild, too. It's like the most hideous color beige and like puffy letters. If you see it by the register at the supermarket, try it. You know, it's candy bar. Who cares? Who cares about the calories? Just give it a little taste. I also love Snickers and Twix. This is how, see, this is the problem. This is the problem. This is how I know. This is how I know that I'm having issues, because here I am telling you about my favorite candy bar. I felt that it was necessary to tell you about some rando's post about who's buying clock bars. I never really liked a payday. Peanuts and chocolate. Caramel. I like the combo, but I don't know. I never really liked it. Snickers. Snickers. I love Snickers. Snickers and whatchamacallits. If you're ever on the Lower East Side, economy candy. I probably told you about this in the past because I bought my mom for Mother's Day stuff from Economy Candy. Economy Candy is the oldest candy store in New York. It's downtown on the Lower East Side, and they have every candy that's like ever been made. And they have a website, but I went on the website and I shipped my mom a bunch of old school candies, Fireballs, all Mary Janes, I think Sugar Babies, all these stuff she likes. But it's an adorable gift for somebody. Okay, I gotta wrap this up. Okay, two things. I was excited to tell you about the best leather gloves that I have from Bloomingdale's, and they were on sale, but the sale is over by the time I'm recording this, so I'm terrified. I feel terrible, but oh well. They're for next year. They go on sale every Christmas. You gotta try them if you like leather gloves that don't have the touchscreen thing. Bloomingdale's has these leather gloves, cashmere lined. They're $98. Let me tell you why I love them. I bought a pair last year. I wanted a pair of brown leather gloves to match a coat. And they're long. They come like, I don't know, midway up your arm. And not like by your elbow, like 3 inches down from your elbow. So your arm doesn't get cold. I love that about the glove. But they're $98, and they're always on sale for like $50. And so I wore them a lot. They're warm. The cashmere on the inside, nice and soft. They're a really nice glove. And they're like classic. And I think that finding a good pair of leather gloves is hard. I bought a couple of pairs last year on Amazon, and they were garbage. They were like leather gloves lined in cashmere, and then they came and they were lined in like fake polyester cashmere, and I got rashes all over my arm. That's what happens when you buy $10 gloves claiming that it's leather and cashmere. But I bought another pair this year in bright blue leather. They made bright blue this year, and they're beautiful, and I paid $50 for them. But they're back now for $98. So, it's better to wait. Okay. Product of the week is a robe that I just got on Amazon that I am loving. So I don't know if I told you that I love kimonos, but I do. I love kimonos. I love to collect kimonos. Not like the ones from the Ming Dynasty. Like just kimonos. I love the style. Jackets. But I love kimono robes too. And I wanted a kimono. And I went down to a few stores, Pearl River. I was in Chinatown looking. But the thing is that they're polyester, the kimonos, and they're like scratchy. That scratchy satin, like that horrible scratchy satin that doesn't move like silk. It doesn't waver. It could like pull easy. Ugh, horrible. So I was on Amazon, and I saw this robe, and it got like a ton of reviews, like 1,700 reviews or something. And I said, let me order it. Ordered it, and it came, and it was satin, but like silk. Oh, and I love it. And I got it in a bright green with pink flowers and birds all over it. The brand is Babe Yond, like Babe Beyond, but it's one word. Babe, Bayond. That's the brand. And it's just if you type in Babe Beyond, kimono satin robe. If you could put floral in, you might see the one that I got, but it's $45. And it is sumptuous. It's my new gift. It's my new gift to give people if I have to give somebody a gift. If one of my friends has a baby, I'm going to get them this kimono robe. I think it's one size. I think that's it. And if it's not one size, if they do like small, medium, large, extra large, I probably got the large, extra large because I like my robes big. But nice big long sleeve, big kimono style sleeves. Fabric, very nice. It is a polyester. It's because it's satin, but it's nice. It's beautiful. I really think you need to get it. And we didn't do TV talk. We didn't do TV talk today, but we're gonna do it on the next episode. But I will because I have to talk to you about Sex in the City. That's important. I feel like the first couple episodes is too much. It was too much with the PC stuff. I mean, honestly, just stop. I'm still watching it because I love Sex and the City, but it's too much for me. But anyway, that's it. Product of the day is the robe. I'm so happy that you're listening. I always love talking to you. I'm Elyse DeLucci. Quote of the day. I'm leaving you. Laird Hamilton. Make sure your own worst enemy doesn't live between your own two ears. Don't be your own worst enemy. Be your biggest champion. Stick with people that support you. Stick with people that love you. I'm Elyse DeLucci. I'm always grateful that you're listening. Review me on the podcast, Apple Podcast website. I would appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao, baby.